You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-Zanna on Guerrilla Media Network. Here we go. We are back. Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca-Zanna and our special guest from Toronto, Canada, Cory Diamond. Cory, let's talk a little bit about solutions because we are pretty much surrounded 360 degrees by attack of evil. It's in every way, from politicians, legislation, illegal wars, our bodies under attack, fluoride in the water, and as you said, spiritual battles, but also physical battles. I mean, the food, the GMO. What do you think? How can we preserve our integrity as the free human beings?
Well, obviously education and being aware of what's going on in your life and the life around you. We are a product of our environment, and we really should look at the people in our lives. And, we can talk about evil and the spiritual battle that's going on because we are fighting an enemy, we can say unseen principalities of the air. And so to know really what's going on with yourself, even to the degree of how are you professing words, whatever comes out of your tongue. Tongue is a great rudder, they say, as a boat, a rudder, and it'll guide you where you're going to go and where you're going to land. So if you said, I died laughing, I'm sick and tired, or, oh, I hate that, or you kill me, I can't stand that. I mean, all the negativity that's coming out of one's mouth is sowing seeds in a self-defeat. So that's where we can start on a small level. There's death and life is the power of the tongue. And those who love it will eat its fruit. So whatever, you're going to speak, whether it's to your child, instead of, oh, you're stupid, you say, you're great, you're coming along, you'll learn. And we all talk about, parents had condemnation on all of us. So I was saying, you're dumb, and but people forget about the power of your words and that you can enlighten people wherever you are. You may not have your own TV show, but you can make someone's day by just saying, hey, you look good today, or I believe in you, or that was really well said, or whatever it may be, compliments and encouragement. That's on a very molecular level. But I have noticed, Luca, that mental illness has been rampant. We see it within the United States with shootings and the Columbine and Sandy Hook. We see all that stuff. And apparently these kids are on drugs. Of course, we know big pharma agenda. But I think there's also a spiritual attack. So if people are hearing voices, and we get back to depression and things like that, you're buying into something that's not even real, and yet it's real to them. And we're talking beyond a medical condition, and those things do exist. But there's also something else at work. So we have to watch our mental state. And we can get deeper. I mean, apparently there's some FBI and government programs that are doing frequencies and gang stalking on people that actually put something into their brains, frequency, laser-wise, and chips, whether they're for experiments. But some of these people are in actual torment.
Yes. If I can say something, just to sum it up for the listeners, because what are you talking about, all this stuff? I mean, I just want to live my life. I want to just be left alone. Please, stop it. Yeah. Listen, guys, seriously. I remind every time I come on the air, I'm doing this. I have so many other things I could do. This is something for me like a mission. It's like when I was able to understand a little bit of what's going on. I don't say even everything, a little bit. And it's my duty as a human being and also as an American, but first as a human being, because we're crossing borders here. We're talking about freedom. We're talking about an attack that is not just on a country. It's all of us as a humanity. We need to understand, first of all, as Cory said, what's going on and stop living in the illusion and stop living in the selfishness just to think about me, 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 me. Nothing happens to me. Everything is fine. This is going to happen and it's happening to all of us. So you must find the truth. And of course, this is not 1 hour we can find and tell you everything. But most important, you must start to realize that what you've been told all your life, it's a lie on many aspects, not just one. Now,
yeah, and the main teacher has been television. So we have our young people thinking they have to be young and thin and sexy, and men have to have Rolls Royces, and women, have to have a big house and sort of be the new housewives type ideal. And this is complete crap programming. But if you look at who owns the stations, who owns the satellite dishes, you will find out, going further into politics, further into war, who's building these war machines and equipment. You're going to find FEMA camps. All of these people own the media.
Exactly.
So, and this has been happening for years. This is just not new. They're just getting more powerful as technology goes on.
Exactly, especially the high definition TV, if I can remind, there is something more than just a regular television. I mean, this is proven scientifically that influence the wavelength of our brain after many hours watching it.
So then I get back to the relationship with your God, knowing that you have authority when you act out of truth, righteousness, things that add up to lovingness, as you said, love. You will withstand in the evil day. There's a great thing in Ephesians 6:10. It says, "Be strong in the Lord and the power of his might. Put on the whole armor of God, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Wherever take unto you the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand in the evil day." And having done all that.
Exactly. I believe that, excuse me, I don't want to interrupt you. I want just to say something. You're right, because when you understand, after all, if you don't have faith, and at that point, I don't want to tell you, I'm not here to preach, you find your own God, it's up to you, I got mine. But if you don't believe...
Anybody's God.
Exactly.
I have mine, you have yours.
Exactly.
But if you're built in truth and a breastplate of righteousness and the gospel of peace and the shield of faith, how are you going to quench all the darts of the wickedness?
Yes,
yes.
So
you got to have the helmet of salvation, the sword and the spirit of God, or these things will take you over. We see it in the world. We're talking about some very serious stuff.
Yes, and if I can say something, Cory, my personal experience was about 2004. And of course, I wasn't an American yet. I was going through my process of naturalization. I realized that the first few years I was here, I was completely getting into the trap of watching too much TV. And I started to notice my brain started to slow down. I started to have habits I never had before. Around the beginning of 2004, I said, I have to stop this. And I quit completely, almost cold turkey, to watch the regular TV. I just, once in a while, I got my DVD and watch my movies. But then I started to feel, after not even a couple of months, first of all, I realized I had much more time for myself to do things I think that really matters. I started to write songs, learn a language, or do other things. But more important, I realized my brain was like an awakening. I was able to perceive things normally I could not even understand or see. And then I was able and ready to start to dig in my own independent way to look for news and information that normally I was not able, never was able to find through the regular mainstream controlled television. Right. So I think that's a very important first step to detox your brain from this control, sort of a control technology, because that's what it's about. And then, of course...
Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
No,
yes?
Go ahead. What I was saying, after the television, you need to understand that your body is under attack. If you don't understand what means fluoride, if you don't understand what means a GMO, and the dangers can be also on your DNA, and we have a problem. You need to learn about this, because we are also made of flesh and bones, and that's also the way what we eat, what we drink, is going to influence also our brain and our mind.
Yeah. And this is, when you step back and you're not afraid to look at the agenda, why are the poor, and I'm going to say the poor blacks, all put into certain areas, and maybe, the Indian immigrants or the Italian immigrants are put in different areas. There is an agenda to cause division amongst us. And, but the good news is that love overcomes all of this. Loving your neighbor on a small level. You might have a problem with a neighbor. His dog goes to the washroom on my lawn, and his kids yell in the middle of the night, and all these little things are so petty. Or we talk about racism, are so petty. But we can overcome that and our governments with love. And I'm not saying love is weakness. Love is very, very powerful.
Yeah, I also believe love is what also is the fuel that gives to people, humans, the strength to also do things that normally regular people would never do. I mean, when I say love for freedom, love for your fellow man, means also you're going to have the type of motivation to commit yourself on every level to do things normally you would never do. For example, I see the love of a mother facing a rabid dog trying to attack her son. She would die for that. She would face it and probably bite the dog in the neck herself. So that's another form of love. When we love something, in this case we love humanity and we love freedom, we are committed then to do everything we can to stop evil. And that's why I really believe love is the most important motivation and fuel for any one of us to do what we're supposed to do. Because when we understand that all the things that are happening, and they're happening right now in the last few years and decades, they're not an accident. I mean, look how much just in the last 50 years, America and also Canada, I see, changed our freedom, our rights. We're living now in a complete police state. I mean, I talked about this many times. A National Defense Authorization Act, a way that now legally a U.S. government can detain, arrest indefinitely with no habeas corpus, with no any more due process, with no access to jury, lawyers, or judge, any one of us, just because suspected to be a terrorist. You can be executed. This is about the law. It's not even about me conspiracy. Or detained forever. This doesn't even belong to Russia or China. So I really believe we are changed so much, and the first thing we need to do is admit the change, admit the problem, and then ask to ourselves why all this happened. How did we let that happen? And then maybe we start to understand there was a lot of disinformation and of course...
Well, you're right, Luca. How did we let this happen? This is how, I can say, it's a slow burn. It's like the frog in the pot. If you throw a frog in cold water, or hot water, he'll just jump out. But if you turn it up slowly over time, the frog doesn't know and he'll stay quite complacent. So, and you'll eventually kill him and you'll boil him. So I think it's the same thing over time. The upper agenda over and above our politicians. We get into royalty and royalty bloodlines, and I think those people are more in the corrupt top of the pyramid, and want control over the serfs. It's a slow kill. And so by the time people are actually in it, or now you're in a FEMA camp thinking, how did I get here? And someone could say, well, don't you remember Auschwitz? Don't you remember Hitler? History always repeats itself.
Exactly.
So how can you, say, oh, I don't, I totally ignore this. It scares me to death. I don't want to hear about it. I just want to watch TV and go to work. This is too much. So it takes people like yourself, Luca, that take the challenge up, that lift up the sword and say, I'm going to do something in my world, what I can do. And you, of course, have started your radio program, and you're on many networks, and I applaud you. You are actually doing something, and you have a heart with love for your country, and that's so rare and a beautiful combination.
I appreciate it. I thank you. And this is also not just about, of course, I really want to feel like this is my commitment towards humanity, but also it's for myself because, as a human being and now also as a new American, I would find very hypocritical to come all the way here, what's supposed to be the land of the free, home of the brave, and then ignore the truth and then don't even try to stand up for what's supposed to be the duty of every human being, and I think also every Americans that understand that our republic, our freedoms, our rights are completely under attack. And that's why I also say, if a guy with an accent like me that is still pretty much poor in delivery and grammar, English grammar, but at the same time, I'm trying to do my best in every way I can to spread this information. I think every one of us in our communities, in our families, no matter where you are, it's our duty to try to reach critical mass. It's our duty to at least to share whatever we learn with our fellow human beings. Because only then, when we have a humanity that at least most of it it's aware of the danger that we are facing right now, then we will have the chance to fix this problem and solve this problem. Otherwise, that's exactly what the elite behind wants. It wants to keep us separated and wants to keep us ignorant, because that's pretty much where evil always will flourish, in the darkness. That's why we need to bring the light. We need to bring the information.
And I agree. And the other solution is that we are great in numbers. When we see protests around the world, when you see streets of New York, Occupy movements, and things happening in Brazil over soccer, there's things happening. There's a great transition happening, and people are becoming awake. And in numbers, there is power. But I don't support any violence or any kind of protesting of violence. A lone gunman going into an office somewhere and proving his might, to me, is a cowardly thing.
Most of the time, we know very well, most of this time they've been all pretty much all psychopath, all very well false flags, for all we know.
Yeah, unfortunately, we all get, Alex Jones and et cetera down the line all get lumped in with these disillusioned activists, and think that they're kind of doing us all a favor, and it's totally incorrect thinking, totally against God, and totally against love, and there's no solution in that.
Cory, the last question before we leave, because we are short with time. Yeah. I saw you put a post about numerology and the magic guide of the world leaders. What do you think is going to happen the next maybe few weeks, according to your experience of maybe what this...
by crystal ball.
I know, it's not going to be a crystal ball, but according to some...
all seriousness,
what do you think?
Numerology is a powerful force again. It's tied to the darker side of stuff. Even though I know there's a lot of people out there that love numerology and all that kind of stuff, it's all tied, with a deeper current and a deeper root. And I have to get back to, when you talk about revelations, we know that China and Russia, everything that's happening in the Middle East, these are signs that are biblically prophesied. I don't know everything, and I don't predict the future. Anybody who says they predict the future, I don't trust. But there's many things that have to take place within the Revelation's biblical predictions, the temple being rebuilt. But it says out of the Mongols, so, the Antichrist will come with his religious sidekick, and we see Pope Francis trying to bring all religions together. He's been meeting recently with all evangelical Christians and many other religious sects. And he's trying to do a lot of things for the Vatican, and yet I know a wolf can come in sheep's clothing, so I think this is an area we should really look at, even though it sounds all really good, seems really good, and yet, we know he is a Jesuit. He has taken the Jesuit oath. If you don't know what the Jesuit oath is, go and research it. It's pretty heavy, and it's not Christian. So, and we also know that there is some court cases against Pope Francis, involving kidnapping and a few other things in his history. I didn't know that he was a bar bouncer. There's so many things that we don't know about Pope Francis, and yet you can talk about great things and love and be completely on the other side.
Cory,
so again,
Cory, one second, Ollie. July the 25th. What do you think? Maybe there's going to happen some sort of a global financial shift, because there's been many different economists talking about a big economic shift this month, but there is also some number.
Yes, and even in biblical time, biblical prophecy is that Christians or people that are close to God, per se, will now reap and prosper great things in the end time. So a transition of prosperity is going to happen out of the hands of evil, which I would say is corporations and, like Wall Street and maybe the World Bank and the Federal Reserve. So there is a prediction that all the wealth will be transferred. We know China is now going to look at their own bank. They have great capital to start out with. They're trying to take down the U.S. dollar. I know the U.S. dollar, I believe, has a reserve currency called the brownback, and it's in vaults, hasn't been touched yet. So we know that the U.S. dollar, of course, we can see areas like Detroit, things that are giving us clues. It'll be a domino effect at some point. We see it all happening around Europe. What they want is a one new world order, which is one new world currency, one new world religion that will have Christianity Judaism, Islamic, everything under one roof to worship. This Antichrist is said to come out of the Roman Empire. These are not my words. This is all in the Revelation, biblical prophecy.
Perfect. Lisa, thank you very much, Cory. I want to thank you again. And one more time, please give your website so people can reach and watch your coming show.
It will be coming in fall, Luca. It's RevelationsTVNetwork.com. You can get a hold of me at Twitter at Diamond_Cory, and Facebook, which we know and love, is Cory Diamond too. And I thank you so much, Luca, and your audience. Be well and know that you can be the change for freedom.
Thank you. You don't go away, guys. Stay there because we got more news, more information, and also something very exciting. We will talk also about guns and love in the next 2 hours. Ciao.
Give me liberty or give me death. I'll fight till the end, till my last breath. Give me liberty or give me death. I'll stand against tyranny. My soul will never rest.
There is no longer any room for hope. If we wish to be free, there is no retreat but in submission and slavery. We have petitioned, we have remonstrated, we have supplicated, we have prostrated. Is life so dear or peace so sweet as to be purchased as the price of chains and slavery? Forbid it, Almighty God. I know not what course others may take. But as for me, give me liberty or give me death.
Give me liberty or give me death. I'll fight till the end, till my last breath. Give me liberty or give me death. I'll stand against tyranny. My soul will never rest. Give me liberty or give me death. I'll trade my life for freedom with no regret.
It is natural to man to indulge in the illusions of hope. We are apt to shut our eyes against a painful truth and listen to the song of that siren till she transforms us into beasts. For my part, whatever anguish of spirit it may cost, I am willing to know the whole truth, to know the worst, and provide for it. Give me liberty or give me death!
Give me liberty or give me death. I'll fight till the end, till my last breath. Give me liberty or give me death. I'll stand against tyranny. My soul will never rest. Give me liberty or give me death. I'll trade my life for freedom with no regret.
You're listening to Love, Guns and Freedom with luca-zanna on Guerrilla Media Network.